everyone, how are we today? I will leave a note in the description box to let everyone know to watch the intro so we know how we're actually doing our reading today. I am doing an all signs reading, and I just wanted to do things just a little bit differently today. So what I've actually done is I've used the Soul's Journey lesson cards to pick a topic for us. Okay, so our topic today, I've drawn indecision. All right, that does say I use my intuition in all aspects of my life. So indecision does bring to mind the fact that, there probably are choices that we're needing to make and we're not sort of sure which way to go with those choices. So, this is how I'm sort of doing these readings today. I will be looking at, choices, indecision, how to sort of clear that indecision from our life and give you sort of some sort of advice or outcome for what would happen if you were to make each choice. All right. So I will be focusing on just sort of two choices. For a lot of you use your discretion. You're going to know that some of your choices may all sort of fall into one category, whereas other choices fall into another category. I am intuitively sort of feeling that for a lot of people that are watching, in regard to love choices, that we're probably choosing between, past versus new or current. Okay, so past or current and new, whichever fits your situation at the moment. All right, so what I'm going to be doing is we'll be using two decks today, one for choice one and one for choice two. Okay, so maybe before we get started, have a bit of a think about the thing that you do need to make some sort of choice on, the thing that you are in this indecision about at the moment, and categorize the those choices into one of two categories for yourself. All right, so I am really intuitively feeling though that choice one is kind of staying on the current path, staying on that path that we've already been walking, so whether that be past for you or whether that be current for you, I do intuitively feel that is going to cover a lot of our choice selection today, whereas choice two, I do kind of feel will be those things that are brand new, that path that we haven't actually swapped over onto yet. So it's kind of that choosing, do we stay on this path or do we choose a brand new path? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use two separate decks and choose, have a look at the potential outcomes for each choice, all right, to maybe help you decide which choice is going to be a little bit better for you in your personal situation. Now, like I said, these choices are going to be different for everybody. Not necessarily love. It could be, work choices. A lot of different choices, could come through today. So we'll have a look and see, overall which choices are going to be the best ones for you personally. Based on obviously your sign. It is a collective reading, so I'll be pulling on that collective energy. So if you do want a personal though, the link to my email and everything like that is in the description box, so you can organize a personal if you do need. But basically today, I also will just let everyone know that if you leave a comment on one of my videos, you will go in the draw for a free personal reading as well. So leave me a comment and let me know which choice you initially sort of are intuitively feeling may be the right choice for you, and whether that reading actually, comes out saying that choice is the better outcome for you as well. But today I will be using, I've got the Scrying Ink Lenormand for choice one. And I do have the Paper Oracle Lenormand for choice two. All right. So as always, you will see me taking timestamps. And today I'm actually going to be starting with Libra. Okay. So hi, Libra. How are we today? Just looking at choice one and choice two. I hope you've watched the intro so we have a bit of an idea of, what we are doing today. I will try to make sure I put everything in the description box as well. But we'll get started in for Libra with choice one, okay? Libra, outcomes for choice one for Libra. Outcomes for choice 1 for Libra? Okay, so straight away we're seeing the whip card, all right? So we are seeing that, currently there may actually be some, tension within this choice. So if this is a current sort of situation, there may already be a little bit of tension or drama, and maybe that's why we are considering other choices in the situation. Otherwise, there definitely could be some potential conflict as an outcome as well. A lot of the time, though, when we do see conflict, sometimes conflict is kind of necessary to sort of stir things up and get things moving. I also do have the clover. So the clover really does sort of outshine any negativity within the whip as well. But with the whip, we definitely are seeing, some sort of tension, trouble, drama, a bit of a challenge there, with that. But like I said, the clover will outshine that. It is a card of good luck, good fortune. It does talk about taking a risk. Okay, so there may be some sort of risks involved in this choice. If you do make this choice for, choice 1, whatever that is in your particular situation, there may be some sort of risks involved with that. It's kind of like a bit of a gamble, maybe that if these troubles can be resolved. All right, but then we are seeing that child energy as well. So the child really does talk about, things in their infancy. So, ultimately, we are seeing as outcomes, you know, relatively positive, regardless of that whip. Like I said, sometimes conflict is a bit necessary. Tension is necessary in order to, get things moving and get things started. But there may be just a bit of a risk of some conflict, maybe a little bit of fighting kind of energy coming through with that whip. But overall, that child energy really does talk about, staying quite innocent and looking through things with that childlike sense of wonder and joy at the world. So, when I do see the child coming out as an outcome, a lot of the time it really can talk about, things sort of in their infancy and starting to grow, having that opportunity for something to grow. It may just be sort of relatively new, but you also, I kind of feel for a lot of you, we're seeing the outcome as, it could actually go either way. It could start this brand new sort of sense of adventure and wonderment in the world for you, or it could actually, be a bit of trouble. So that's why we're seeing such a risk in the middle there, because I feel like for a lot of you that there is a risk that the outcome could kind of go either way, that you will sort of start something, from childhood, so to speak, and that sense of, innocence at the situation, and that chance to grow into it. We see, with infancy growing into a young child, and then into a teenager, and then an adult. So it does have that opportunity to grow there. It's really going to be with how you deal with any conflict that does arise, and really take a risk. This choice may involve a lot of risk, I feel, for you, Libra. But that's what we have for choice 1. So we'll have a look at choice 2 for Libra. Choice 2 for Libra. Most likely outcomes for choice 2 with Libra, please. Okay, so straight away I can kind of let you know that choice 2 probably does have, slightly better outcomes coming through. Once again, we are seeing that clover card once again, though, so there definitely still be some sort of risk involved in the second choice as well. So no matter what's going on there, Libra, it does look as though you are sort of having to take a bit of a gamble. So I do feel that making this choice is the risk itself for a lot of you, that just choosing which choice to make is sort of taking a gamble, having a bit of a risk factor to that. But we are seeing that second choice, we do also have the bear, and then the stars as well. Okay, so the stars, I want to talk about that because that does talk about wishes coming true, wish fulfillment. All right, all your hopes and dreams can be achieved when the star is there. So as an outcome, the star is probably one of the most positive outcomes to see, sort of in any kind of a reading there. But it really does talk about, having a lot of hope and optimism. So maybe taking a chance on hope when it comes to choice 2 there. I do also, sorry, I've just drop that card. But that was the bear as well. All right. So the bear really does talk about standing in your own power, standing strong and firm, and protective of your wishes. All right. I really feel as though, that's got a protective over your wishes energy to it. So it's kind of looking at, choice 2. There may be something with choice 2 where there is actually this secret desire or wish involved with following choice 2. And it's really all about protecting those inner desires, protecting that wish, and then it will be more likely to be fulfilled. But really standing strong and firm, in this choice. If you do make choice 2, you're going to be, standing in your own power, having your boundaries strong, and standing firm in that choice. All right, because like we saw, you do have that clover with both choices. So a little bit of risk involved either way, all right? So, but for you, Libra, I do feel that choice 2 may actually have just a slightly better outcome for you there. Neither of them are looking, like potentially horrible outcomes or anything like that. But choice 2, I can't deny that star power, that kind of does override, a lot of other energies. So, when we see those true wishes coming true, shoot for the stars, I want to say, for you, Libra. All right. So we'll have a look over for Scorpio. How are we today, Scorpio? Just looking today at indecision and making choices. So we're looking at choice 1 and choice 2 for you today, Scorpio, and the most likely outcomes of those. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, double check in that intro. I do explain what we're doing today. But we'll have a look straight away for you, Scorpio, at choice 1 potential outcomes. Okay, Scorpio, most likely outcomes for Scorpio with choice 1. Okay, some interesting energy for choice 1, Scorpio. We do have the coffin, all right, first and foremost, followed by the whip energy and then the heart energy. So for a lot of you, this choice is, kind of going to be something, as an outcome that, has the potential to, be something that's coming from your heart space. I kind of feel that, if you are relying solely on following your heart, that you may intuitively want to choose choice number 1. All right, so it may be a love life thing that we're looking at today for you, Scorpio. But we do see the coffin and the whip, all right? And what that kind of tells us is that something needs to end. All right, in order for a new beginning here, with this choice, you do actually need to close the lid on something else. You do need that ending if you want any brand new beginnings. With this choice, there's something that needs to come to an end before you can actually, get any fulfillment with this choice. Before we can see any outcomes with this choice, something actually needs to come to an end. All right, the coffin does talk about, that death of a situation, but also the rebirth of that same energy into new things. All right, so whether that's all within the one thing or not, you're probably going to intuitively know yourself. But what we're actually seeing is that ending certain things are actually going to rebirth that energy, but into this whip energy. And the whip energy actually, it can talk about a few different things, but it really does come through, as a bit of trouble, tension and trouble within yourself, within your heart. I feel with that heart there, so, pretty straightforward that we could be looking at, whatever you're ending in order to try to get this new beginning in, could just lead to troubled heart for you, Scorpio. So if this is a love decision, just be very wary, of any tension or fighting, conflict here, because we may actually be, finding that even when we close certain things out and try to move forward into this heart space, there may still be some trouble to get through, some conflict and fighting and tension, even just within yourself, to get through before we actually can get to this heart energy. The heart energy is, quite a loving energy, and it did come through as the final card today. So there definitely is love as a, or lovingness. Like, I don't necessarily mean romantic love. It's kind of like that, that ever beating heart kind of present in your life. It's kind of like, that there may just be some trouble to get through to have this sort of unconditional love aspect to this choice. So even if this is not a love related thing, it does have the potential to get to a place where, you love it, or you, you find that it's actually, that the beating heart of your world. But, there is definitely some trouble and some, the death of a situation, that needs to happen before we can actually start moving through the conflict and then get to that heart. So as an outcome, we are seeing that, long term, there may still be some trouble and conflict to get through with that particular choice for you, Scorpio. So we'll have a look at choice 2. Choice 2 for Scorpio. Most likely outcomes for choice 2 for Scorpio, please. Okay, so we do have for choice 2 the birds, the ship, and the familiar. Okay, so what we kind of see here is quite an interesting kind of story, all right, because it does kind of give me that vibe, especially with the ship and then the familiar, that this choice may actually feel like it's something brand new, but then it will actually bring you back to, that familiar feeling that, the familiar is the dog card in the traditional deck. So it does talk about friendship and loyalty and a lot of support. But I'll sort of start from the beginning here, because first we do have the birds, all right? So that lets me know that, there may be some sort of distant worry about making this choice. You may have a bit of a sense of mourning about making this particular choice, but it sort of lets me know that there's probably some conversations that need to happen in regard to you making this choice. It's sort of feeling like, if you do choose this, that there's some important conversations that do need to come into play, before we can sort of start moving forward on this path. So, we do sort of see the birds here, the bird on a wire kind of energy. So it really does bring to mind, things like phone calls and, online as well these days. It's not really a wired system anymore, but, now that we have, Wi-Fi, but, that sort of is what that's sort of talking about, is that electricity in the air, the phone calls and communication kind of aspect. So I do feel that these birds, there's a lot of chatter that needs to happen. Potentially you may have, this choice may lead to a little bit of gossip for some of you. I don't know why I'm getting that message coming through, but there's a lot of conversations that need to happen, around this particular choice. And then we do see the ship, all right? So the ship really does, it is quite a positive energy. It does talk about, starting a brand new adventure. There may be some sort of travel that needs to happen or will be happening, some sort of, something at a distance. I am getting with the birds and the ship that there definitely could be some distance happening between you and this choice, or that it will put you at a distance from, where you currently are, from everything familiar. It definitely could put you at a bit of a distance from where you currently are. It could be a long journey, so to speak. But we do see the ship, and that really does, start brand new journeys. It's kind of like that, getting the wind in your sails to take off on a brand new adventure. All right. So this definitely could be, it has the potential to be a really strong choice for you, Scorpio. We do also have the familiar. Okay, so that is a card of friendship. It does also talk strongly about loyalty and support. All right, so as an outcome, we are seeing that, in the long term, the outcome of making this choice could actually lead to, a lot of support, you know, and that long-term sense of loyalty between you and this choice. So whatever that choice is for you, I'm definitely feeling that choice number 2 for you in particular may, you know, sort of lead to some more interesting outcomes for you. It may be a longer journey, you know, but we do see the support and the loyalty in the results there. So you know, it's really going to be up to you as well, because, you know, are you willing, you know, this is what we've got to get through for choice 2. All right, we've got to get through a lot of conversations and a lot of, you know, traveling or distance, you know, so maybe time, a lot of time when it comes to this decision. And then with the first choice, we do have a much more direct thing to get through. You know, this doesn't really give me that huge sense of a lot of time. It just gives me, you know, that sudden kind of, you may have a bit of sparring to get through, a little bit of fighting for this choice. You know, there may be some conflict to get through, but it feels as though it would be a lot more immediate. So I suppose it depends whether you're looking for something, you know, that is, but like, you know, look what they result in. One results in the heart beating for you, and one results in the familiar. All right, so that loyalty and support, you know, that sense of familiarity. Oh, sorry, I can't say that word. And one results in, you know, sometimes the heart can be sort of that crazy, passionate, unexpected love. But I do feel, I just keep getting that reference to the ever beating heart. All right, so it really is going to, you know, I feel for a lot of you, it's going to work out no matter which choice you do make. It's just what are you willing to do to get to those results? What result do you prefer? I kind of feel with that for you, Scorpio. So sorry, I can't really be much more clear for you, Scorpio. Those, like I said, you know, those choices, neither are necessarily bad. One just has a lot more conflict to get through before we would get to a clear outcome, whereas the other sort of seems to start taking off, you know, may take off a bit more quickly, but there is still a lot to get through in a time frame kind of sense. All right, so that's what we have for you, Scorpio. I'll move over to our Sagittarians. How are we today, Sagittarius? Just looking today at the outcomes of your choices. Okay, so firstly, we're going to look at choice 1. Most likely outcomes for Sagittarius with choice 1, please. If you're not sure what we're doing, just watch that intro, guys. Most likely outcome for Sagittarius with choice 1, please. Okay, and most likely outcome for Sagittarius with choice 2. I feel like I need to draw yours at the same time today, Sagittarius, so we can compare them a little bit easier. Okay, most likely outcomes for Sagittarius with choice 2, please. So you're getting a similar, your choice 2 message is actually quite similar to what I just saw for Scorpio. So if you do have strong Scorpio placements, especially I feel your rising, if you're rising as a Scorpio, you may want to check that reading as well. But for choice 1 today, we do have the bouquet, the flowers card there, followed by the mountain, and then the anchor energy. Okay, so what we're kind of seeing here is this is kind of straightforward. The bouquet does talk about that giving energy, that, you know, giving in order to receive kind of energy there. So and then the mountain does talk about, you know, like a lot of hard work, perseverance, determination to climb the mountain, and then those new opportunities opening up for you, Sagittarius. So what we are seeing with choice 1 is, you know, as long as you're willing to give a lot of, you know, time, like not so much time, because there may be some delays involved with the mountain as well, challenges, but you know, as long as you're willing to give to this choice, and you're willing to, you know, put in a bit of hard work in order to receive you know, all that stuff in return, those new opportunities. Obstacles do turn into opportunities with the mountain there, especially with the flowers. If you're willing to give a bit of you know, perseverance to make that initial climb up the mountain, get over that obstacle, you do start to see brand new opportunities be on your, you start receiving those opportunities. All right, so we do see that with choice number one. You know, there is the need to give a little bit of yourself. There may be the need to, you know, put in a bit of hard work, be quite determined when we are making this choice, you know, perseverant, and prepared for any challenges or delays that you do need to overcome. There will be some obstacles to overcome with this choice, you know, but you know, with the flowers is a very positive energy. All right, so it's telling us that, you know, you will be able to overcome any obstacles that do come your way with this choice, and then that will sort of lead us to this anchor energy where we're quite solid and secure, you know, with this result. Everything will sort of level on out, and that could be it could definitely be the thing that, you know, holds you secure. It definitely has a lot of, you know, security and dependability within this option. A lot of like solid aspect. It's coming through very sort of solid and sturdy and unmovable, especially with that mountain as well. You know, it's unmovable like a mountain. You know, but there may definitely be some obstacles or delays to get over as well before we do see the positives, the opportunities of stability that result here. All right, but then with choice two, we do have the ship, which is kind of like the opposite, because we are getting a lot of movement with the ship straight away. So choice two, we are seeing that if you walk the path of choice two, that straight away it's going to be you know, starting a brand new journey, starting a brand new adventure. There may be some physical travel involved, like physical distance actually involved. You may need to sort of move. You may need to, you know, travel a bit more to get to choice two. I'm just feeling that there may be some distance, but it does really talk about, you know, your ships are coming in, you know, getting the wind in your sails. I'm just getting a lot more movement coming through with that ship energy. But then we do have the snake energy as well. All right, and so the snake is quite an interesting card because it can talk quite strongly about, you know, your true desires, your passions, your true ambition. You know, so as long as you're willing to sort of move quickly and follow your true passion and ambition with this choice. You know, I don't feel as though that snake would be too harmful. But with that snake there, you know, we do sometimes feel a little bit of deception comes through, a little bit of temptation. So there may be a lot of temptation involved in this choice. It may be the sort of easy choice, as we did see with the mountain there, that there was some obstacles or delays in choice one. It does feel as though choice two is probably the easiest choice, you know, and you can sort of be quite slippery, and instead of going up that mountain with that hard work, you can kind of slither on around those obstacles. But it can also, you know, there can be some possible deception. All right, because you know, we do also have the familiar coming through. So when I see that, that is a card of friendship, but I don't, you know, maybe for one or two of you, this could result in an outcome where you do encounter a you know, some sort of deceit from a friend. But I do feel as though this is actually talking more about, you know, there's an element of deceiving yourself in the outcome of choice two. All right, because the familiar really does talk about, you know, strong bonds of loyalty and support. So I feel as though you may be, you know, it's just feeling a little bit like slippery kind of energy. I can't get a strong grasp on it at the moment. So there definitely could be an outcome where, you know, you may deceive yourself that you're more loyal to this choice than you actually are. So my advice would be to sort of look at you know, whether you really are willing to you know, start this new journey, if there is any potential. You know, is it easier to take the path of temptation, I want to say. But you know, when it comes to the outcomes there. Like I said, the familiar does talk about loyalty and support. So in the long run, loyalty and support is always a pretty positive card. This is usually a positive card, but we also have the anchor as well. So it's really up to you. I feel that if we feel as though any obstacles that we face, if we choose choice one, are we going to be allowing them to hold us down, hold us back, or are we willing to, sort of get on that ship without knowing where it goes is kind of how I'm feeling with choice two. All right. So, it's really going to come down to, are you looking for, something to hold, like, be quite solid and secure and dependable, or are we looking more for, support from others, with friends and that sort of a thing. My intuition is kind of telling me that choice one is actually the slightly better option. But I feel like just intuitively here, Sagittarius, I do feel as though there may be another choice that you haven't looked at. All right. So if you do actually have a third choice, Sagittarius, maybe consider that as well. But I don't think anything is going to be, all too negative, no matter which choice you make, Sagittarius. So it's a hard one to read, that one, Sagittarius. But I hope that helps and resonates with those choices that you have, on the table for yourself. I'm just going to grab another card here. Sagittarius, choice 3, please, for Sagittarius. Yeah, okay. Choice 3, Sagittarius. We have the sun. It may not have been revealed to you yet, this third choice, but I feel like there's another choice. There's something else that you can choose that you haven't even considered. It will be revealed to you, and it will result in a lot of happiness. All right. So I do feel as though choice 3. I know I'm like trying to do choice 1 and choice 2 today, Sagittarius, but I was just intuitively feeling that there's something else there for you, Sagittarius, and it's quite possible that for a lot of you, neither of those choices are the ideal. That there's actually something else that may be more ideal for you, Sagittarius. So that's what I have for you, Saggy. But we'll move on to our Capricorns. How are we today, Capricorn? Just looking at choice 1 versus choice 2. Okay, so if you're not sure what I'm going on about, check the intro where I explain a little bit better. All right, but what are the most likely outcomes for Capricorn with choice 1? Okay, and most likely outcomes for Capricorn with choice 2, please. Whoop. Okay, Capricorn. I've got a pretty straightforward answer, Capricorn. Choice 2 immediately is the better choice. I'll explain why. Okay. Choice 1, all right. We do have the bear energy, which talks about the need to protect ourselves along the path of choice 1. It does talk about standing strong and firm, holding boundaries. And then we do sort of see the snake energy, all right. The snake does talk about passion, desire. I do feel as though what choice 1 here, it leads. The outcome for choice 1 is that you actually need to have strong boundaries. You need to stand quite firm and tall in your own sense of power. It's kind of that protect yourself kind of energy, because we do have the snake and then the ring. So that immediately kind of does look like a physical connection. All right, so sexual connection. But, as an outcome, that may be the only outcome. It may be a short-term physical thing. I do feel for a lot of you, obviously, we are probably looking at love if this ring has come out. But, even if it's not a love thing that we're asking about today, the snake actually does show us that there may be some deceitful cycles that, I am feeling that this snake energy today, it's kind of coming through a little bit. I sometimes I do really try to read the more positive things. It does feel like this is very tempting to make this choice, but it does feel as though it's going to lead you back into a cycle that you may have already decided that you don't want to be in that cycle. This is feeling like a more negative type cycle. Is it something that you really need to go back through? Kind of a vibe. The snake can talk about deceit, temptation, so you may be tempted to go down this path very strongly. Like I said, it does talk about physical intimacy, and desire and passion, and ambition. But it's sometimes I feel like it's getting stuck in that cycle of just following that immediate passion rather than worrying about the long term. A lot of the time, this is more short term energy, and it is kind of the snake that tempted Eve to eat the apple kind of energy coming through with that. And I'm also today I'm getting that that Medusa energy. Sometimes I do get that from the snake as well, and I am getting that today. With that bear there, it's kind of like you're over here, that bear. And if you look at this snake too long, you're going to get turned to stone, and then all of a sudden, the bear is only going to be strong and powerful because it's cement. If that makes kind of sense. I don't feel as though choice number one is the best, to be honest. I know it can be deceiving with this ring card. A lot of the time, a lot of people are going to read that immediately as, oh, look, a relationship. But it's not, it's sort of, it's not a description by itself. It's not a positive or negative by itself. It's just a relationship. But with the snake beside it, it may be just a physical relationship. It may be just a relationship based on lust and desire. And also, like I said, it could definitely be talking about cycles. All right. And so if we're talking about cycles, those cycles are going to be, deceiving yourself, following temptation and deceiving yourself about what it is that you truly desire. All right. So I'm sorry that that's coming through a bit more negative, Capricorn, but that's what I've got for that one. And then choice two, straight away, we're seeing the sun, the flowers, and the stars. All right. So today, when I'm looking at, the best possible outcomes for, a choice that you need to make, these are three of the best cards to be seeing as an outcome. All right. So straight away, choice number two is definitely the more likely because it's going to lead to happiness. We have happiness with the sun. We have things being revealed and coming to light, but we do have a lot of happiness there for the taking. We have the bouquet, which talks about rewards, pleasures. It does talk about, giving and receiving. It's reciprocal energy that, you give happiness, you receive happiness. And then, you receive happiness and then you give happiness. It's a very reciprocal energy, and it does talk about, rewards and pleasure as well. So, and with the sun kind of shining the light on that bouquet, it's kind of like, revealing to you or shining the light on, bringing it to light that, you want that reciprocal, you want that reward, you want that pleasure. And then we have the stars as well, which is one of the most, one of the best outcomes in the whole deck, because the stars talks about wishes coming true, wish fulfillment. All right. All your hopes and desires and dreams are right there for the taking, kind of a vibe. Wish upon a star and you'll, all your wishes will come true, kind of a vibe. So straight away, I'm drawn to choice number two as the best sort of outcome for you, Capricorn. So I'm sorry if that's not what you really wanted to hear today, but like I said, that choice number 2 outcome is very, very straightforward, and it can't be sort of beaten. That's, you know, a pretty clear positive outcome. That, like I said, that's I actually was not expecting to see such a clear positive outcome today doing this reading, and that definitely is a clear positive outcome, Capricorn. All right, so we'll move on to Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius, how are we? Just looking at your choices at the moment. Okay, so most likely outcomes for Aquarius with choice 1, please. Okay, and most likely outcomes for Aquarius with choice 2. Okay, so Aquarius, choice 1. Firstly, we have the sun. Okay, so the sun does bring with it a lot of happiness. All right, so there's a lot of happiness to be had with choice 1. Following the path of choice 1 will lead to happiness. Okay, but we also find that it does shine the light on things, and what it's shining the light on is this fox energy. All right, so the fox is all about I feel like this is you, Aquarius. It kind of needing to, you know, it reveals to us that you do need to sort of become the fox a little bit more. So it's a very clever, you know, cunning kind of energy, but it can also be, you know, like trickster type energy. It's that, you know, that car salesman. It's saying, saying what you need to say for the best outcomes, rather than, just being like being very thoughtful and thinking very clearly about the way that we're saying things. Being very cunning about how we talk about things, even just to ourselves. All right, and being very like I said, that car salesman energy, where they'll say whatever they need to tell you to get the sale kind of energy. So a lot of the time I do feel as though this can kind of sometimes be that player type energy, where it's like they'll say whatever they can to get into your pants kind of energy. But this is what you kind of need to embody a little bit with this first choice. I feel that shape shifting to suit the situation a little bit with that energy. I just keep getting that trickster kind of vibe. So, but not in a negative really way. Like, it's not a manipulative way. It's kind of just, embodying that, just really thinking about how you say things before you say them, and being quite smart and clever about how you offer people things. It's kind of that energy of, I'll give you 5 coins, but only if I know I'm going to get 10 coins in return. If I'm going to get a return on my investment, kind of a vibe. It can be a job-related card, and I do also have the key is also a career-related card with this outcome as well. So it definitely could be talking about, considering your career, whether the choice is directly involving your career or not. You may need to sort of take into consideration your career a little bit more strongly with this choice, even if it's not a career related question, so to speak. But we do see that final result is the ring. I don't know why I said the ring, maybe because I can see this here. So there may be some sort of relationship aspect to this as well, with the ring coming through, maybe some sort of cycle, and being tricky about how you want to replay cycles in your life. But with the key, we do see, brand new doors being open to you, quite a lot of success does come through with the key as well. So with the sun and then the key as well, I don't feel that fox energy is anything to be sort of worried about. Sometimes it can just talk about, keeping your boundaries strong, and focusing on yourself and your self-survival when it comes to this choice, really putting your self-survival at the forefront, okay? Because, the fox is an animal that, they will travel miles and miles to, find something to take back to the den. So they're really focused on themselves and their own survival, and doing whatever's necessary to survive a certain situation. So I feel like that's probably what we need to embody the most with this choice. But it will sort of really unlock the new doors for you. There is a lot of potential here with the sun and the key in this choice. It does talk about, revealing choices to yourself if you are, really putting yourself survival first and foremost, all right, and unlocking success in the ultimate, so that there definitely is a lot of chance for success for this to be a really good choice for you. All right, Aquarius. And then when it comes to choice number 2, we do have the cauldron first and foremost. So the cauldron, brings to light magic and, mixing up potions and all that sort of thing. So it kind of, pardon, kind of does feel as though, it would have to be a very carefully planned out option, because, you want to make sure you get that potion right to make the magic formula. If you put something wrong into that formula, it's going to, explode. So it's making sure you've got your eye of Newton and what all that sort of fun stuff. But, it also has that opportunity, for magic to be made with this option as well. But we also are seeing the tree and then the broom as well. All right. So the tree does talk about a lot of self-growth. So, and personal knowledge as well. So I do feel that, if you are choosing to go with choice 2, that, it's going to be coming down to being very careful of how we mix the potion, so to speak, how we make this choice, and really, focusing on all the things you've learned, and putting them all into practice into this cauldron, mixing them all up. The tree can talk a lot about, your personal wisdom, personal knowledge. So you will find, if you do make choice 2, your self, but once again, it does mention self-care as well. So, putting yourself first with whatever choice you make is going to be quite necessary. But, it's going to, I feel as though there's a lot more, you need to follow the recipe. You need to follow the directions and follow follow the steps correctly, because, otherwise this could turn into, like I said, that cauldron exploding, and that making you grow through, a lot of the time we grow through trial and tribulation. So sometimes when I see this card, it does bring to light that, there may have been some trial or tribulation that has led to the self-growth, but especially with that broom there as well, because the broom really does talk about, there may be sudden and unexpected things along this path. There may be things that you need to clean house, so to speak. Pardon me. So there may be some sort of things that you need to clear out of yourself, in order to, get all the ingredients right for this potion if you want the magic to happen with this choice. So that you may be really actually needing to rid yourself of certain behaviors or things in your life in order to make this choice. All right. So ultimately, I am kind of feeling that choice 1 may actually be, the better option for you, because I'm really feeling that, with the need to clear out some things, the self growth coming through, but I'm really strongly getting the this ingredients list. I can just like kind of see this ingredients list, and if you mess up one thing on there, it's going to blow up. All right. So I do, and then that's when, that may end up, it may end up be the thing that's getting swept out of your life, regardless. This second choice may actually, if you get this potion wrong, that second choice might, be swept off the table and no longer be an option anyway. All right, so I do kind of feel that for a lot of you, choice one is going to be a slightly better choice for you to be making, as long as you can reveal, that energy to yourself. There is a lot of brand new doors that will unlock, and we do see success and happiness in that choice. So, for a lot of you, I do see choice number one being a slightly better option for you guys, outcome-wise. All right, but we'll move over to our Pisces. How are we today, Pisces? Just looking today at choices. Okay, so check the intro if you're not sure what I'm going on about, but we are looking at choices today and having a look first at choice number one for Pisces. Most likely outcomes, choice number one for Pisces, please. Okay, and most likely outcomes, choice number two for Pisces, please. Most likely outcomes for Pisces with choice number two. Okay, so some of the signs today I've been able to see a clear choice one way or another. You guys, not so much. I hate to break it to you, Pisces. I am seeing, a bit of options, obviously. When we are looking at choices, there's always options to consider. With choice number one, we do firstly have the snake and then the dog energy. All right, so the dog does talk about, a lot of the time it does talk about friendships, and that feeling of loyalty and support. All right, so I do feel as though with choice number one, we also have the snake here, which can talk about, you probably have a desire and a strong passion and ambition toward, strong support and strong loyalty. But what we're actually seeing with the snake is, I'm just getting this image of the snake sort of biting the dog, so to speak. So I'm kind of feeling that we're seeing a lot more of the, that it's a tempting choice to make this first choice, but we are actually seeing, a bit of deceit coming through, possibly from a friend, possibly deceitful loyalty, someone you may think is loyal or supportive of you, and there is some sort of deceit involved with that choice. All right, so whatever that choice is for you, just be wary of, potential deceit coming through, even if it's just self-deceit, like deceiving yourself about your true desires and passions for loyalty and support. All right, so the snake energy, it's not necessarily a bad energy as such, but I am just feeling that, it probably is talking a little bit more about, this choice one being the tempting choice, but it's, as an outcome though, the snake there, it can represent, someone who is a bit slippery. All right, so we may just be seeing someone, as an outcome, someone being a bit slippery with us, with their loyalty and their actual support. All right, but we also do have, as the final outcome with choice one, we do have the fish. All right, so that does talking about abundance and wealth. All right, it is a financial card. So if it is a financial question that we're looking at, a choice to do specifically with finances, just be wary, not to, follow your temptation. Be careful of being tempted into things with that, I suppose. So if you do make choice number one, just be very wary of, being tempted to do things, or, potential deceiving yourself or being deceived by somebody. All right, because, I feel like for at least for one of you Pisces, this is actually talking about like some sort of financial scammer as an outcome. So if you're making a choice that's financially related at the moment, just be very, very wary, and do your background checks. This person that you're making this financial choice with may not be as loyal as you feel that they are, but ultimately, like I said, I'm not getting a huge red flag from that snake. I'm just feeling that the snake energy is actually talking a lot more about, just being very conscious of not being tempted, and make sure we're following our true desires and our true passion, rather than being tempted into, making the easy choice, or following any self-deceitful patterns. All right. Because with the fish there as well, the fish really does talk about abundance in all areas. Okay, so you do have a lot of abundant options with, if as an outcome of this choice. If you were to choose choice number one, whatever that is for you, Pisces. But the fish, a lot of the time I associate with Pisces as well. So making sure you're putting yourself first instead of any friends, or physical connections with the snake as well. So I just feel that there's a bit of wariness and some warnings coming through with choice one. All right. And choice two, we do see the tree, the hourglass, and the feminine. Okay, so once again, I'm feeling that this is actually talking quite a lot about you yourself, Pisces. So no matter what choice you're making, I feel as though, putting yourself in the forefront, and worrying about yourself first is going to be the main thing with making this choice, no matter which way you go. Because we do see with choice number two, we're leading into the need for self-growth, self-care, maybe some healing, that sort of a thing. Sometimes when we're talking about outcomes, that can be a bit concerning, because, in order to get to self-care, and, there's a reason that we need to look after ourselves, and there's a reason that we do find ourselves in a period of self-growth. But I'm feeling quite strongly, though, that there is also this reference to, you having the knowledge and the wisdom to understand and accept that this second choice, there may be a longer time frame involved with that, and accepting the longer time frame. All right, because it's feeling like the choice number one with the snake there, that's the short, quick, wham bam, thank you ma'am kind of choice. Whereas this choice is something a bit more long term, and you need to grow more as a person in order to get to this choice. All right, so we do feel that, with the hourglass there, that does talk about divine timing, things taking a bit longer than you may be hoping for, that kind of a vibe. And then we do see the feminine energy as well. So very similar to the tree in that it nurtures ourselves. We do need to really nurture ourselves and grow ourselves, to get to a positive outcome with this choice. But also emotions being quite important here as well. So I want to say, following your emotions when it comes to making this choice. And if you are following choice two, to really look at your true emotions on the matter as well. So follow your heart, don't think about things quite so logically, because things are going to have to grow and take time to develop emotionally within choice two. All right, so like I said, not really getting a clear yes or no for either choice today, Pisces. I will actually just draw one more card for each, just to double check if we can get a clearer note on any of that. Okay, can I just get clarity for choice one, please? I'm clarifying with the alternate decks too, by the way. Okay, clarity for choice number one, please. Clarity for choice number two, please, for Pisces. Okay, so now I am able to see a little bit more clearly which choice may work out for the best. So choice number one, we are seeing the scales coming out. All right, so choice number one, it's going to be a very fine balancing act. They both could possibly work out. Choice one definitely has the potential to work out, but there's going to be the need to be very well balanced, and it's going to be a bit of a balancing act with that snake energy. If you do want to get to the positives there, that there is going to be a very fine balancing act coming through with choice number 1. And then choice number 2, we actually have the stars coming out as well. So the stars really does talk about, all your wishes coming true, wish fulfillment, and dreams and desires. It's that wish upon a star, and catch a falling star and put it in your pocket kind of a vibe. So I do feel that, especially with the divine timing aspect in that section as well, that choice 2 is actually becoming clear as potentially the better choice for you, Pisces. All right, so glad I could get that cleared up a little bit. See, when I'm doing a reading about indecision, the last thing I want to see is further indecision coming through in the cards. The cards are indecisive. It makes it hard. But yeah, like I said, Pisces, I feel as though no matter which choice you make, there's a strong need to really focus on yourself, and your self-care ultimately with that choice as well. All right. But moving over to Aries. How are we today, Aries? All right. So firstly, we'll have a look at choice number 1. Most likely outcomes for Aries with choice number 1, please. Most likely outcomes for Aries with choice number 2, please. Okay, so once again, I'm kind of seeing that I have been seeing some of the signs. I'm seeing a clear choice that should be the right choice, so to speak. But with other signs, I'm seeing either way we're ending we're resulting in interesting things, that it's not a clear choice, that it could sort of go either way. That's kind of what I'm seeing for you today, Aries, is that no matter which choice you make, it could work out either way. All right, so firstly, we are seeing the feminine, followed by the coffin. All right, so the coffin really does talk about things, endings, bringing new beginnings, that death and rebirth. So with the feminine in front of that, what we're kind of seeing as an outcome here is that you would actually need to close the lid on something emotionally. All right, the feminine does talk about that emotional side of ourselves, the more loving, nurturing side of ourselves, and there's something to do with that maybe if you identify yourself as more emotional, that kind of does need to end in order for that energy to be reborn as something else. So it's really talking about choice 1 actually bringing through. We also have the tree, so choice 1 actually does bring in a result of self-growth, personal wisdom, personal knowledge, but something in the middle here, there is something that will end with choice 1, and that is something that you're probably quite emotionally attached to, and then you will sort of be on this path of personal wisdom and self-growth, so as an outcome, I feel as though I need to let you know that, yes, something will end as an outcome of making this choice. There will be an ending, but an ending with the coffin is never always, a full ending. There is that death and rebirth, so that energy will be rebirthed into you. Okay, so whatever you're ending here with this feminine, I don't like to genderize, but for some of you, you may be needing to end a situation with a feminine. All right. I don't normally genderize, but I feel as though, you will be, sort of closing off a relationship. For some of you with this choice, you will need to close off a relationship with a feminine in order to achieve self-growth, if or achieve growth in general with this choice. All right. So that's what I'm seeing for choice 1. When I get to the end here, I will draw another card to see if we can get a clearer outcome one way or another. But for choice 2, we do have the letter. So we do see a lot of communication is necessary. If you do head towards choice 2, there's a lot of communication that needs to be, taken. So whether that's, writing, texting, calling, all sorts of communication. All right. There is some big communication stuff that needs to happen if you want to follow choice 2. But then we do have the cross, all right, because what we see with the cross in and then the tower as well, all right. So we do see with the cross that this communication will lift any burdens that you have about this choice, and this communication sort of, once those burdens are lifted, I feel like any burdens coming through with the cross card are lifted through the communication, all right. So whatever choice 2 is for you personally, Aries, make sure that we are communicating clearly, and any burdens that we're carrying in regard to choice number 2, make sure we're using that communication to clear those burdens off ourselves, so that we can focus on the positive sides of this cross card. So this is quite a spiritual, religious card. It does talk about destiny. Especially in this particular deck, we do see, it's the reader reading the cards, so close to my heart, of course. But it really does talk about that spiritual aspect, spiritual growth within yourself. And this is, it is kind of coming through that this choice 2 may sort of be a little bit, although sometimes the tree does have that sort of, destined aspect as well. But, there is that aspect of having faith in this outcome, so if you do step into choice 2, you will need to keep your faith strong that this is the right outcome. So once you've made that choice, it's keeping your faith strong that you have made the right choice, all right, and that maybe a bit of spiritual awareness coming through with that particular card there. But really, I'm just getting that strong sense of, like destiny. So I do feel as though a lot of the Aries that are watching have already made the choice, and you've already made the choice for choice 2, but you just aren't sure. So it's telling me that if you've already made this choice and you're not sure whether you made the right choice, have faith that you have made the right choice. All right. But we also do see the tower. So, for a lot of you, choice 2 is directly connected to your past or somebody older than you. But also that, that as an outcome, you may actually be needing to, find some solitude, spend some time to yourself. Once you've made this choice, spend some time to yourself. It may lead to some solitude, this choice, all right, or it could just be the need to be quite strong in the way that you're building the foundations of this choice. So I'm feeling, I'm not getting, once again, even though we do have sort of that destiny aspect, that having faith aspect coming through there, I am kind of feeling that either choice could actually, whichever path you choose, you're going to get to a good outcome either way. But I will grab an extra clarity for both choice, and I am using the alternate decks for clarity. All right, so choice number 1, clarity for choice number 1 for Aries, please. Okay, and clarity for choice number 2 with Aries, please. Clarity for choice number 2 for Aries. Okay, so for choice number 1, we've got the tree again. All right, so we're getting a strong outcome of self-growth with choice number 1, and sort of educating yourself. I'm still getting that message of, for a lot of you, choice number 1 does involve cutting, closing the lid on a feminine energy. Maybe removing someone from your life, walking away from someone in your life. Choice number 1, maybe, sometimes it's hard to, bury something that doesn't serve our highest good, but it's going to ultimately lead to this tree energy, all right? So, and like I said, sometimes the tree can talk about a few other things as well. So, I'll just sort of go through them with you, Aries, that, the tree can talk about, branching out into new aspects of yourself. All right. A lot of the time it talks solely about yourself, but we do see here in this other tree card here, it's got the animal underneath, and it's kind of, the tree is providing protection, and it's a nurturing kind of aspect. So it's really looking after yourself. So choice number one is definitely going to be, all about looking after yourself, and growing yourself, nurturing yourself, maybe branching out and finding new aspects of yourself. And I also want to say that they're both leaning to the right. That may be important for someone here or there, um, but so I kind of feel that, it's, I'm getting something else, but I just can't pinpoint that as an outcome. I can't pinpoint that energy, but I feel it's really, okay. So with the tree, we could also be talking about, strengthening your family tree. It could talk about ancestral ties, that kind of being guided by spirit kind of vibe. But ultimately, it's all about yourself, Aries. So once again, I feel as though you, Aries, are going to intuitively know which choice is right for you. Choice number two was clarified with the snake, which it shows me that there's a lot of desire and passion, towards choice number two. It can talk about physical intimacy and, sexual relations as well. So if you question, I suppose it's going to depend on you yourself, Aries, like which one resonates with your particular situation and what are you trying to gain as an outcome from your choices. Are you wanting to focus on yourself, or are you wanting to focus on, this snake energy where it could be talking about, a physical connection with somebody, and your passion. All right. So it really depends about what you're talking about. So I want to say that, once again, I haven't needed to clarify this much for anyone. Aries, you're throwing me for a loop today. Okay. Aries. Choice number one for Aries. What area of life is best suited for choice number one for Aries? And choice number two for Aries. What area of life is best suited for choice number two for Aries? Yeah, so choice number one is all about balance and yourself. So, whereas choice number two, I've got the fish. So, it definitely could be talking about, any financial related choices, career or financial related choices. Choice two is probably closer to right. But once again, I'm really getting, Aries, that you could choose either way, no matter what it's in regard to specifically. Choice number one, all about balance. So I feel like for a lot of you, it's what choice number one is. If you are aware that you need some healing in a certain area of your life, or that you need to grow and develop a little bit more in a certain area of your life, choice number one is definitely the right choice. That's what I have for you, Aries. I can't sit here pulling cards all day. If you do want more information, my link is in the description for, send me an email if you want a personal reading. Otherwise, I suggest checking your other placements if you have any particular strong placements. And I feel today definitely your maybe your rising sign today, Aries. Check your other placements. Okay. I can't give you any more clarity than that today, Aries. I'm sorry. But that's what we have for you. Like I said, yeah, please check your other placements if you do have quite strong placements. It's kind of frustrating me that I can't get clear answer on that for you, but sometimes there is no clear answer, and it's just following ourselves and our intuition and what's right for ourselves. All right. So we'll move over to Taurus. How are we today, Taurus? Just looking today at your choices, okay? So firstly, we'll have a look at most likely outcomes with choice one for Taurus. Pardon me. Most likely outcomes for Taurus with choice two, please. Okay, Taurus. We do firstly have the broom energy coming through for you today, Taurus. So with choice number one, we do need to clear something out of our system, so to speak. That was followed by the bear energy. So the bear really does talk about protection and that, that mama bear that will, if you come too close to her cubs, she'll rip your face off kind of energy. So I do feel as though what we're looking at, sweeping out of our life, we need to make a sudden break or change from, being defensive or overprotective. All right. So we need to sweep that away and sort of allow people a little bit closer to us. Definitely still standing in our own power. When it comes to choice number one, stand in your own power and be protective, but very, very, sweep out any old energy that is, overprotective to the point of defensiveness. All right. So it's really concentrating on, having your boundaries firm and strong and powerful, but sweeping away the excess of that so that we're not, you know, I want to say scaring anyone away with our bear energy here. But we also do have the crown. Okay, so once again, we do see these two cards are actually quite similar, the bear and the crown. It's standing in your own power, that you have the strength and the will to make this choice, and it's really like that crown upon your head. That if your outcome for choice number one is that if you're able to clear out any of this stuff that you don't need around you with this choice, make sudden changes, that you will head into this. You've got the crown at the end of the road there. It's kind of like that final prize, I feel, for a lot of you. If you are asking something, financially or career related, the crown is definitely a really positive outcome, because it's like royalty. You'll be royalty. So it's really talking about standing strong and powerful and being the top of your game. Being the head honcho type thing. So if this is a definitely if this is a career thing, I definitely see this as a super positive outcome. You know, but for if it's you know, like a love sort of thing, that we want to really be careful not to be too controlling and too domineering with these cards as well. You know, but definitely needing to clear some energy out. If we want to make this choice, there's some stuff we need to sweep out of our lives, all right? And that'll be the outcome, is that thing you're kind of going to get swept away. If you make this, if you choose choice number one, you are going to get swept away a little bit, and there's going to be certain things in your life that you'll look back in 5 years and go, oh, that, what happened to that? I didn't even think twice about that. It's got swept away without, you know, you really worrying, because you're so strong over here and powerful over here. But there's a lot of strength and power coming through with that outcome. All right. So, you know, it would definitely be a strong, powerful sort of outcome for you. But then choice number two, we do see the stork energy first and foremost, you know, and then the masculine and the scales. All right. So choice number two, we are seeing brand new energy getting stirred up. All right. So if you make choice number two, you will be stirring up some brand new energy into your life. All right. So it's kind of a similar message with the sweeping things out of your life. And then these, you know, I kind of really am getting that no matter which choice you make, it's going to be the right choice for you, Taurus, and it's going to actually have quite similar results. It'll just play out slightly differently. So whatever your goal is with these choices, that I feel as though you could make either choice and you're going to achieve your goals one way or another, because the stork really does, you know, stir up brand new energy for you, get things moving and shaking. And then the masculine energy there, I don't really genderize the masculine and feminine, but the masculine really does talk about, you know, that logical side of yourself, thinking things through clearly, really, you know, working things through in a very sort of logical manner. All right. And then we do see the scales. All right. So everything's going to balance out. So we're getting a lot of balance with choice number two. Everything's sort of being quite balanced, whereas choice number one, it kind of puts you at the top with that crown. So, you know, it's really depending on what your question is, because like I say it with, you know, if choice number one, that if you do choose choice number one, and this is a love question, that you would have to be very wary to not be too powerful, too strong, too domineering, too controlling, you know. Whereas if this is a love question, choice number two brings balance and reciprocal energy. It's much more balanced energy. So it would be a much better sort of outcome for, you know, a loving equality type partnership. You know, whereas choice number one puts you in that position of power over somebody, you know, which is not ideal when it comes to love. But, you know, definitely if it's a career related question, choice number one puts you in that position of power, which is, you know, where you would want to be when it comes to a financial or a career based decision. So it's really going to depend on you and what you're actually asking when it comes to, you know, the choice that you want to make. Are you asking for something where you want to be at the very, very tippy top? You want to be that all powerful person, or do you want balance? It's really going to depend on, you know, your ideal outcomes with this situation. Either outcome is, you know, it's quite positive outcomes either way, but it's really going to depend on what exact area we're asking the choice to be in. All right. So if it's a much more generalized question, I'd probably be going for the balance. All right, because balance is something that, you know, we do sort of need ultimately in all aspects of our life. All right, but you know, if you were asking a question about wanting to be you know, the next queen or something, choice number one leads you right there, okay? You know, but that's what I've got for you today, Taurus. All right. So we will move over to Gemini. Okay, Gemini, how are we today? Just looking at your choices. Okay, so If you're not sure what we're doing today, check the intro as I explain a little bit better in that. But firstly, we're going to have a look at your outcomes, most likely outcomes for Gemini with choice number 1. Okay, and most likely outcomes for Gemini with choice 2, please. Most likely outcomes for Gemini with choice 2. Okay, so thank you, Gemini, putting me back on the clearer path, clearer answers coming through. All right, I've had a few signs today where it's been a bit, I don't know which choice to tell you guys. But when I'm looking at your first choice here, Gemini, we do see the mountain, which is followed by the child, and then the tree energy. All right, so firstly, the mountain does talk about an outcome that does involve delays or challenges, obstacles. There definitely is the opportunities on the other side of the mountain, but it does talk about delays or challenges in order to get to the most desired outcomes. And as the mountain as an outcome, it does sort of show us that there would be a lot of hard work involved with choice number 1. All right, a lot of perseverance and determination if that's the choice that you truly want to make. There is a lot of hard work in order to climb that mountain, climb over those obstacles to get those to turn, from obstacles into opportunities. So I feel definitely for a lot of you that would actually play out as delays. All right, so it may actually take quite a long time to get to desired outcomes with choice number 1. We are also seeing the child and the tree have come out as well. So this really does talk about, the child is more of a positive energy. It does talk about, having that joy and wonder, that sense of innocence comes through with that. But we also see the tree, which does talk a lot about self-growth. All right. So as an outcome, we kind of see that, a lot of immaturity needs to grow. So there's some aspect of choice number 1, and this may be one of those obstacles coming through as the outcome is that there's something that's quite immature that actually needs to grow a lot, for the desired outcomes here with choice 1. All right, so I am really getting that sense of immaturity coming through. So it definitely could be something in its immaturity. So if you make choice number 1, that just be wary that, that may be one of your obstacles, that, it's like a fresh beginning. It's something starting in infancy that still needs to grow, so really when we see the child and the tree, we're not looking at a full grown tree. We're looking at a tiny, a seed that's only just sprouted kind of energy. So there's a lot of growth. It can bring a lot of growth. Choice number 1, it could bring potentially a lot of growth, as an outcome. But I do kind of feel that, it would be something that would take quite a long time to mature into the desired outcome. I do feel as though what we're looking at as your outcome today is we're looking at the need for it to grow quite substantially before it actually hit into true, desired outcomes with choice 1. And I feel like that's what that delay would be, that's what those challenges would be, is that you're kind of starting from scratch here, with the child on the table. There is a lot of innocence, and it's like starting a brand new adventure with this choice, though. With the child there, it can really talk about, having that innocent mindset that this could be a brand new adventure, but it's got a long way to grow, I feel, with choice number 1. Now, choice number 2, we start off with the fox energy, all right? And in this particular deck, the fox really does bring to mind that shapeshifter energy. We can see the fox with the 9 tails in this particular deck. So I don't know if any of you would know what I'm talking about with the fox with the 9 tails, but it is based on Japanese folklore, the fox with the 9 tails there. It's kind of that shapeshifter energy. It's kind of talking about leveling up. Each time you level up, you get an extra tail come out, sort of thing. So you shape shift into a more powerful being with each tail that you have appear for you. But this fox has already got all the 9 tails. So this as an outcome is already grown. All right. So choice number 2, we did see with choice number 1 that we're looking at something, taking a long time to grow. Whereas choice number 2, the growth, it comes on in straight away. As long as we're sort of, I want to say very clever, with this choice, very cunning. It is a bit of a trickster energy, the fox. So there is an element of needing to sort of really be quite cunning with the way that you're dealing with choice number 2. All right, but we do see the heart and then the cauldron as well. So, with the heart and the cauldron, immediately I always get that, that love magic is in the air kind of vibe. Your heart is, the magic potion that makes everything happen. Pardon. So I do feel that for majority of you, choice number 2 probably is the, better choice, because we do see a lot of loving energy. This is like that unconditional love, that comes on through. It's like, the shining heart made of, it's a diamond heart. So it's already, fully formed. There's no chinks in this diamond. It's a beautiful, glowing, bright, shining heart. So we do find that as an outcome, to see that is actually, really positive energy coming through there. It's like that unconditional love for this thing or this outcome. And it will sort of really make your heart feel full, this outcome, I do feel. And then we have the magic in the air with the cauldron as well. So, that's kind of like, this is the potion. I'm really getting it. I did pull this in another reading before, and it felt, the energy felt quite different with the cauldron in the other sign that I pulled that for. And it's like for you guys though, it's kind of like, the magic is in the air. This is like transforming the potion into this beautiful spell of love. I feel, there's a lot of love in the air with this potion, this cauldron energy, this magic that this outcome would have in your life. It feels like it, this as an outcome, there would be, magic in the air. It would actually be, I do feel that it would be quite a positive outcome, for you with choice 2. It would just be that, the important to be quite cunning about the way you're approaching option 2. And, there may be some sort of shape shifting that needs to take place. Sometimes the fox can talk about like that car salesman type energy where they'll say whatever they need to say in order to get the sale. All right. So if this is like a career thing, it may just talk about, needing to talk yourself up a little bit more, really focusing on the positives and sort of turning all the negatives into positives and using all your strength. All right, so we've got the 9 tails. So use all 9 facets, using all your strength to come at option 2, and then you'll get those beautiful results. All right, but so I do sort of feel that for majority of you, choice number 2 is the choice to make. All right, so sorry if that's not the choice that you wanted, but that's what we're seeing here today. All right, so moving on to Cancer. How are we today, Cancer? All right. Most likely outcomes for Cancer with choice 1, please. Wow. Okay, we had the heart flip out straight away. So is this a love choice, Cancer? Most likely outcomes for Cancer with choice 1, please. Definitely for a lot of you, this is a a love related question. Love related choice. Just one more for Cancer, please. The heart kind of flipped on out, but I've been drawing 3 for each outcome. All right. Cancer, most likely outcomes for Cancer with choice number 2, please. Okay, and can I get a clear outcome for choice number? Okay. Okay, so it's coming through relatively clearly, Cancer. As we saw, the heart did flip out, for choice number 1. So straight away, I do feel that for a lot of you, this is a choice in regard to love itself. And I am clearly feeling that, with the heart coming out immediately for choice number 1, it's kind of letting me know that you may already know in your heart that choice number 1 is the choice that you do want to follow. All right, Cancer. So you may have already actually made this decision already that you want to make choice number 1 rather than choice number 2. But obviously we'll still go through what's come out, and but I am kind of intuitively kind of drawn to choice number 1 for you, Cancer. Firstly, we do have the ring, followed by the coffin, and then the ship. All right, so it is kind of letting us know that as an outcome, there is a relationship that needs to end in order for choice number 1 to, get to its outcome, to see success. There is some sort of relationship or cycle that does need to end with the coffin there, okay? Because the coffin really does talk about the death of a situation, in order to bring about a new beginning. And then we do have the ship. All right, so that's the new beginning. The ship is the new beginning. All right, and but we do see the ring coming through. Okay, and even with the heart on the table, I don't necessarily, I'm not saying that this is necessarily a actual relationship that needs to end. It definitely could be talking about a cycle that needs to end. Looking at this option and really actually, oh my goodness, my nose is so itchy. Sorry, Cancer. Usually that actually means that I'm pretty on point with what I'm feeling, okay? But it's just driving me insane right now, Cancer. But the ring, I'm feeling that it's talking about a cycle, all right? So there's a certain cycle that needs to actually end. To get to your desired outcomes with choice number 1. And I feel like you guys are going to intuitively know what that already is. All right, because when we're looking at cycles in our life, it's like, do you want the same thing to keep happening? No, I feel as though you don't. All right. So it's really sort of looking at those cycles that you've been through in the past and working out, which cycles in your life you need to break for your own highest good, and which cycles, are happy to return or whatnot. Ending out, closing the door on any cycles that are no longer serving you, so that you can create these brand new beginnings. The coffin really does talk about close the lid on that death of a situation, on that dead cycle, and move forward into the rebirth of a brand new cycle for you. And like I said, we do have that new cycle shown here with that ship. That's a brand new adventure. It could actually be physical travel or distance, as an outcome. So you may need to travel in the near future if you do choose number 1. But really, it's kind of talking about, your journey's just begun. The adventure's just begun, I feel, as an outcome here for you with the ship, Cancer. It's, if you choose the first thing, it's closing out something, that's no longer serving you, and then moving into your brand new adventures, finding those things that are, like, I'm getting that reference to, oh my goodness, that part of the ship, all right, from that Johnny Depp series. that what is Pirates of the Caribbean, all right, and or Caribbean, however you want me to say that. But it's that, oh, I'm a part of the ship. It's like you want this new journey to be, a part of you and a part of how you progress. And I'm really feeling that this choice. It's like if you're choosing to really be, like it's kind of getting that, like I said, because the part of the ship thing is where he like literally like melds into they start to like grow into the ship and they become a part of the ship. So it's really talking about really integrating yourself into this choice, and really sort of becoming this choice, becoming a part of this choice. I'm feeling for maybe one of you out there that it's talking about like a family and you being part of the ship, part of the relationship. All right. So it's actually kind of talking about integrating yourself into that more, opening your heart up more, really, really flowing and starting this journey, all sails ahead, get the wind in your sails and really integrate into this choice. All right, if that's choice number one for you, Cancer, because we do see choice. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry, Cancer. Choice number two, we do first and foremost have the tree. All right, and then we do have the fish. All right, so this is actually coming through as a straightforward message. The tree talks about growth, the fish talks about abundance and wealth. So in order for choice number two, you actually need to grow your wealth, you grow your abundance, in order to make this choice. I feel as an outcome, it could talk about, your abundance will grow, but we are seeing the tree coming before the abundance. All right. So there's some growth that's needed if you want this abundance. All right. So that's pretty straightforward. I don't really feel the need to delve much deeper into that message. But then we are seeing the letter and the tower have come out as well. All right, so the letter really does talk about communication. So, not only do you need to grow your abundance, grow your wealth a little bit more with choice two, but we also do really need to communicate clearly. The letter is all about communication, all right, and, letters, calls, texting, emails, in person, communicating clearly. All right, so you need to grow your wealth, communicate clearly, and then we are seeing as an outcome, really focusing on the foundations of this choice. All right, and building a strong foundation so that tower can grow nice and tall. But there is also this element of solitude coming through with that as well. So, that communication could just be within yourself, and having to take some time to yourself in solitude, to really communicate with yourself. So if choice number two is you do not want a desired outcome of having to be by yourself and solitude, if that's not part of your desired outcome, choice number two may not be the one for you. I am intuitively feeling that for majority of you, choice number one is the right choice to be making here. Because this could actually also be talking about communicating with somebody from your past or somebody older than you as well. But I'm really getting a very, very big sense of isolation with this card. It's kind of, especially with such a tall, isolated tower here. You can imagine Rapunzel up in the top all by herself, and someone saying, Rapunzel, let down your hair, and her hair just can't even reach the bottom anymore because the tower's grown too tall, and so she's kind of stuck up there by herself. And that's the vibe I'm getting from that as an outcome. It's kind of telling us that if you do want to choose choice number two, that you do need to, I feel like there may be another choice. If you're feeling like you want to take choice number two, there may be another choice that you need to make before this choice, because you're going to need to focus on your wealth, and focus on your communication and taking time to yourself and being prepared for a lot of solitude. But obviously it depends on your question, I suppose, and what you're making the choice of. Because, with a career related choice, for example, choice number 2 could possibly be, the ideal choice, because especially things like if you're wanting to start your own business, because with that isolation, that's, you working by yourself, for yourself, kind of a thing, and having, strong online presence or communicative presence, but sort of, standing, being the tower unto yourself, kind of a vibe, and we do have that self reference as well with the tree, that self growth and whatnot as well. So, I would sort of say that, if this is something, if your choice is something about should I start my own business, choice number 2 may be the best choice. If your question is about something along the lines of love, heart space stuff, choice number 1 is where that new adventure starts. All right, but we do need to close off that past relationship or cycle. Okay, but that's what I have for you today, Cancer. I hope that helped. As always, feel free to check your other placements if that doesn't resonate for you and your particular choice. But we'll move over to Leo. How are we today, Leo? Just looking today at your choice. Which choice should we be making? Okay, Leo. Most likely outcomes for Leo with choice 1, please. Okay. Most likely outcomes for Leo with choice 2. And just one more for choice 2 outcomes, please, Leo. Okay, very interesting. I'm not seeing clearly one way or another which choice is necessarily the best for you, Leo. Choice number 1, we do have the whip has come out first and foremost. So we do see that choice number 1, if you make choice number 1, one of the first things that's going to happen as an outcome of choice number 1 is this whip energy, which is, trouble, tension, drama. It could be, some sort of fight happening between you and somebody else. All right. So there may be some sort of conflict that you need to get through in order to get to desired outcomes. But that may be the outcome. There may be some sort of fight, some sort of tension that needs to be cleared or resolved as an outcome for choice number 1. All right. But we are also seeing the child and the house. All right. So, we do see with the child that once we get through that conflict kind of energy, the child actually does sort of, it's something in its infancy. All right. So it's that, that childlike state of something. This choice will result in this beautiful innocence and sense of wonderment at the world around you. This, looking through the world through a child's eyes. It's those brand new adventures and looking at everything as though it is an adventure, being quite innocent with the way that you are looking at things. So as an outcome, there is that sense that, there would actually be an outcome that something brand new comes into the world for you, and you have this opportunity to grow that, into this house energy. All right. And the house energy really does talk about stability and security. So long term with choice number 1, there may be some immature fighting, to get through. But ultimately, we do see this house energy, which is quite stable, and so long term, we're looking at a very secure outcome. All right. And it's going to be quite stable and unmovable, with that house energy. I'm just getting that vibe, like the house a lot of the time can talk about, the house within yourself, your personal bubble, so to speak, and that being quite, secure and strong and stable. So we are sort of seeing that it could be something that, could last a very long time. A house doesn't just, you don't build it. It's not like the Three Little Pigs where it's blown over straight away from the littlest gust of wind. Maybe if it's a hurricane, different story. But we are seeing that, and for some of you, this choice could result in a new house, like a brand new house, and I feel with the child too, this could be like building a new house, because you're needing to grow that from child through to teenager through to adulthood. So we definitely could be seeing, new beginnings within a family sort of situation here. But there is a bit of trouble before we can get to the full outcome of this choice. All right. So but I am getting, that especially with the child, there definitely is the potential for this to be like that family that you, even if it's not like a love or family or relationship sort of question, family can mean a lot of things, and family can just be that sense of belonging, that is a desired outcome. So I do feel as though, long term, we definitely could grow this choice into our ultimate security, our ultimate, family within ourselves. So definitely a lot of options, op- opportunity with choice number one. Choice number two, firstly, we do have the heart. Okay, so that the heart is a kind of a very loving energy, of course. That kind of unconditional love. It kind of lets us know that, choice number two may be the thing that you are you feel as though you'd be following your heart if you made choice number two. And we do see the stork coming through next. So that sort of that loving zone of you, of making that choice out of love, it really does stir up a lot of brand new energy coming through for you there. But what we're also seeing with choice number two is I do have the coffin, which was then clarified by the mouse energy. All right. So, it's kind of, with choice number one, we saw that trouble, that tension at the beginning of your outcomes. And then once we got through that, everything, leveled out into this beautiful, stable, solid house. Whereas we're seeing the alternate with choice number two. It's kind of, it's starting off in this loving space, and it's starting off, stirring up all the love within you, but then it's actually resulting in, the ending of a situation. So I'm feeling that with choice number two, that that new energy that you're stirring up could actually end just as quickly as it gets stirred up, and it's going to result in, some sort of loss, and the feeling that something has been taken from you, has been, stolen from you, and it's going to sort of eat away at you. That, maybe I made the wrong choice, is kind of what I'm feeling with that. So I do feel that, even though we are seeing this beautiful energy to start off with, that choice number two, it may start off lovely, but unfortunately, there will be some sort of ending, closing off that positive beginning within the outcome. All right. So it may look like it's got this great potential, but ultimately, long term, we are seeing that it is going to result in, it's just going to sort of start eating away at your energy, and you will be having to sort of close the lid on all the positive sides of that outcome. So I am kind of feeling that, choice number one may be the choice for you at the moment, Leo. So I'm sorry if that's not exactly what you sort of wanted to hear, but that's what we've got coming through for you today, Leo. So, of course, feel more than welcome to check your other placements, if that doesn't resonate with you in your particular choice. But moving on to Virgo. How are we today, Virgo? All right. Looking at choices, Virgo. Okay, most likely outcomes for Virgo with choice one, please. And one more to clarify it for Virgo, please, with choice 1. Okay. All right, now Virgo, most likely outcomes for Virgo with choice 2, please. Okay. Okay, so it's looking as though whichever choice you make, there may be positives on both choice results there. Okay, Virgo. So I do feel as though one may be a slightly better choice than the other, but they both have definitely got the potential for a lot of positive outcomes. All right. So firstly, with choice number 1, we do see the rider. All right. And then the house. So the rider comes on quickly. So if you make choice number 1, there'll be good news about the outcomes of that really quickly. It'll happen really quickly. All right. I am just getting that swiftness coming through from the writer today. It may not directly be good news. It may just be talking about the suddenness. If you make choice 1, things will happen quickly. I am seeing a lot of movement coming through with that rider. He's just sort of, you can see it's, the person sitting up on that horse, and horses do, they even use it as car references, right? The horsepower. So they do move quite quickly, and kind of like putting all feet on the ground and just running with it. With choice number 1, if you make that choice, that's, put all feet on the ground and run with it. All right. And then we are seeing the house. All right. So that does talk about a lot of potential security and stability within this choice. All right, so there's a lot of and it's kind of long-term stability and security. There is a sense of family that does come through with the house as well. So ultimately it is quite a positive outcome card. We see the house in the nest, so it's kind of like that, creating your family nest, nest egg, I want to say, the egg being your house or your personal bubble. All right, so you could definitely be, if this is a question specifically regarding housing, choice 1 definitely does have a lot of security and stability for you long term with housing, specifically with housing. All right, so choice number 1, if your question is directly in regard to housing, we'd be looking at choice number 1 for you today. All right, but because that's longer term, stable, secure. All right, but then we actually do see the clouds, and then that was followed up with the letter. All right, so the letter is all about communication. All right, and what we're sort of seeing with the clouds are all about your thoughts. All right, so it's kind of a message of clearly communicating your true thoughts at this time, not allowing your thoughts to sort of become clouded and confused. Moving swiftly towards things, whether or not you're feeling a bit confused or clouded or not, because it can be overthinking. The clouds can talk about overthinking. So, as an outcome, it could talk about you ending up with a bit of anxiety or overthinking, and really needing to move swiftly into choice number 1, so that you are avoiding any overthinking. But it really does let us know too that every cloud has a silver lining. So even if you move into this outcome really quickly, that it reminds us to, keep your thoughts positive and really focus on the positives, focus on those silver linings instead of, the storm clouds that are potential as well. So it's kind of talking about, um, being stable in our thoughts and our communication, I feel is the most important message for you with choice number 1, is being quite stable within your thoughts and the way that you're communicating. So whether that's communicating with yourself, the way that you're communicating with yourself through your thoughts. Okay, so it's like no negative thinking when it comes to choice number 1. All right, making sure we're very clearly communicating with ourselves the best case scenarios. Every time we're thinking of a worst case scenario, make sure we do communicate to ourselves that best case scenario as well. All right, so definitely a lot of potential with choice one. It's just that message of, making sure we're being very clear with the way that we're communicating with our thoughts or communicating our thoughts to others. All right, so communication being quite important and being quite stable in the way we're communicating to ourselves. And I feel too with choice number one, it's that, all feet on the ground and running straight into that choice. If you do make that choice, move quickly. All right, is what I want to say there. Choice number two, we do have the key. All right, followed by the scales and the familiar. All right, so we are seeing with the key does talk about success. It's talking about unlocking brand new opportunities, to more success, opening new doors. All right, so once again, I'm getting that house reference that, choice number two may be a different house, and it's like unlocking a new house, opening the door to a new house. So like I'm saying, with both of these choices, you kind of heading in the right direction, no matter which direction you choose to take. Okay, Virgo. But we do have the key, which is overall success, and a very lovely card. It is a very career-based card too. So, if it's a career-based question, choice number two may, be a bit of an indication that that's a bit stronger for choice number two for you, Virgo. When we unlock those brand new doors, when we open up new opportunities for ourselves, that's actually going to create a lot of balance. We have the scales coming through, so it's going to weigh everything, balance everything out. You may be weighing up the pros and cons, so we're getting similar elements coming through from that first choice too. So like I said, I feel for you, Virgo, that no matter which choice you make, it's going to be right for you and your personal path. You are going to get some great outcomes no matter what. But yeah, it's just about staying balanced and finding balance with choice number two. And then we do have the familiar. So the familiar is a friendship card, but it does talk about loyalty and support. All right. So choice number two is, it has a lot more support there as well. So choice number one, we did see a lot of stability and security, but choice number two with the support and loyalty, this is more other people. All right, so I'm feeling that if you're dealing with other people in this choice, that choice number two has a lot more loyalty and support to you, if it's specific to other people, whereas choice number one may be secure and stable, but I'm not really seeing other people coming into play at all. So if there's other people in play, choice number two does seem a little bit stronger for that as well. But that's what I have for you today, Virgo, and everybody. That was my last sign. I did start with Libra today and work back around. But like I always say, if that doesn't resonate for you, please feel more than welcome to check your other placements. I know this reading was, a bit unique. It's something a little bit different to what I would normally do with an all signs reading. So I hope that resonated for everyone and making good choices. No matter what choice you do make, at the end of the day, that choice is always yours to make. Free will is a thing. I just hope that we've helped, provide a little bit of guidance or advice on what the potential outcomes for those choices could be. Leave me a comment and let me know. You will go in the draw for that free personal reading as well. But hopefully I will see you all again soon.